Alright, welcome back Wargamers. Welcome to another Let's Play video. This is 1939. We're going to continue the campaign and we are now about to do Operation Weser, which I think is actually short. I think it's called Weserubung. Weserubung? Let's see here. Invasion of Norway. Let's see here. Operation, yeah, Weserubung. Weserubung, you know. Let's see here. Let's figure out how this properly sounds. Alright, here we go.
Weserübung.
Weserubung. Weserubung.
Weserübung.
Weserubung. I think that's as good as it's gonna get. But we're about to invade Norway, playing as the Wehrmacht, Nazi Germany, and we're gonna go ahead and activate the Norwegian forces. This is the second fortnight of March 1940. So we are in the middle of a fortnight, but I decided to start the game file during this moment because it would be interesting to see an invasion take place from the very onset of the turn and of the video file. So with that said, we're going to switch over to the Allied side. Oh, I probably should. We'll do that in a moment. Let's see here. Switch over to the Allied side. And then we're going to go to setup. We're going to go ahead and I'm actually going to start the log file right now. And second fortnight, March 1940. And it's going to be a log file. Oh, no. Hold on. There we go. The file has started. We're going to go to the Pro-Allied Neutrals tab, and we're going to deploy the Norwegian forces. Now you can see that most of the Norwegian forces are at level 0, so they are very easy to surrender. Now there are two ports in Norway that are fortress ports, which are different than fortress areas or fortress hexes, in that the combat won't be affected by the fortress, but basically these fortresses are always on combat alert, meaning that Germany has a special rule that basically grants them the ability to have surprise attack during their invasions, during the initial declaration of war against a enemy force. And so because of that rule, typically enemy HQs are handicapped. And then another rule that comes into effect is that invasion sites or river crossings are not repulsed. However, the fortress hexes are not affected by that surprise attack. And so these areas are going to be immune to the surprise effects, meaning that they are able to repulse enemy landings. And so there's a possibility that if we land in either Oslo or Trondheim, there's a possibility that the repulses succeed. Having said that, we're going to put one unit in Oslo because we want to take advantage of that. We want to have that die roll. If we put a unit of 0 there, it's not gonna have any dice to roll. So there's that, and then the other unit that we're going to put at level 1 is actually going to be the unit in Narvik. Narvik is very important because it basically is the end of this thing called the Northern Seaway, right? Which is basically this blue dash line that starts in Western Baltic area, sea area that is, and it's going to go all the way north. It's going to go all the way basically through the Nordkap Sea. And basically whoever controls the Northern Seaway is going to have one of the it's going to affect naval supremacy. First of all, it's the first effect, but there's another rule that affects German basically affects German supplies, or rather German ore, that is coming from Sweden and going into Germany, and the supply route actually goes via sea. It does not go via rail, which doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I'm thinking, why aren't the Germans receiving the ore? This is particularly the ore that's coming from Gallivare, and the thing about Axis production is that it's doubled for resource centers, which are either going to be a mining center or an oil center. In this case, it's metal ore, and it's coming from Gallivare. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Let's find out. Sweden. We're looking for Sweden. Swedish. Here it is. And let's see how it is pronounced. Gallivare. Here we go. Okay.
Gallivare.
Yeah, Gallivare, that's right. And so basically, let me make sure that my microphone is plugged in correctly. I want to make sure that my microphone is plugged in correctly.
Gallivare.
Either way, I think the audio quality should be good enough. I really hope it is. Having said that, I'm going to go ahead and continue with the file. Fingers crossed the audio quality is good. I don't have to start the video all over again. But point I'm trying to make here is that we got a lot of Eurofront rules to cover, basically, when it comes to Scandinavia in general, or AKA the Northern Front. But I guess the first rule to look at is going to be the production rule. And I believe that is in section either 19 or 18. No, 19 is victory conditions. 18 is area, map edge areas, which are these special areas like this big square or the circle. And then the rules I'm looking for actually in section 17. And here is called 17.2 Axis Ore Supply. The Axis Ore Supply is a line of communications between Berlin and Gallivare, Sweden. If the axes have no ore supply, basic production drops by 10 production points. If the axis ore sea route is, the axis ore sea route is a line of communication traceable between Berlin and Gallivare via Narvik. And that brings us back to our point of Narvik. So it's a supply path that goes via sea. So it doesn't go via rail from Gallivare to, say, Stockholm, and then from there all the way to Copenhagen, which would make perfect sense. And you wouldn't need, that would be the best way to transport the ore. Instead, the ore is transported via sea, via Narvik. So it goes from Narvik, and then it's going to go via the Norwegian Sea, then the Norwegian Leads, then Skagerrak, and eventually, I think, into Western Baltic, and then eventually makes its way into Germany via these northern ports. And fun fact, this is more or less the route in which the heavy water, which is D2O, deuterium, let's see, D2O, let's see, I don't know, deuterium oxide, something like that. But basically, it's heavy water. D for deuterium instead of hydrogen. And this was the water that was used to moderate, I believe is the term, a nuclear reactor. And so the heavy water was coming from the north, is my point. And basically, the Allies found a way to sabotage that shipment of heavy water to northern Germany, affecting Germany's ability to build a nuclear bomb, right, during World War II. And so, interesting. But this whole route is similar, and it's basically moving via sea all the way around, all the way to the Northern Seaway, basically, and making its way into northern Germany. That's the main point. And so here it also says effect
If the Or Sea route is broken, the Axis lose 5 production points of basic production. And so that's why we want to put a unit in Narvik. If the Axis decide to land in Narvik, we want to make sure that we can fortify Narvik as much as possible and keep it protected in order to deny the Axis, but namely Nazi Germany, the particular ore route and lose production basically. Something else too, I increased Germany's production by 4 production points. So it's from 45 to 49. And that's because we activated a special rule, one of the diplomatic event rules called Denmark Submits. And if we look at the rule book there and read on what that does, Denmark Submits, Denmark becomes Axis controlled, so we gain 2 production points from Copenhagen. And then Swedish compliance begins, which is similar to Swedish cooperation, which is basically a rule that allows neutral powers to pick sides. Basically, the Axis gain another 2 production points that way as well. And then finally, we have the Weser Surprise. Weser is short for Weserubung. And basically, the Axis gain several advantages when declaring war on Norway the next Axis turn, which is what's happening right now in this fortnight, while the phony war is in effect. And so let's look at these rules. 21.493. Let's see if we can find that. I think it'd be pretty interesting to read and just take a quick peek before we actually dive into the combat. Now, if I was playing with someone, like I say, you guys, at least the people I've played with, understand the rules much more intuitively than I do. I'm a little slow. And so hopefully this is fine. That we're kind of taking our time. We're being methodical. We're being thorough. I like to be very thorough when I play games or when I do anything really in life. I tend to lean to thoroughness. And so right now, I find it really useful to kind of review some of these special rules before we jump in the game. Let's check out Weser Surprise. Let's look at the effects. The main effect, and the main point I'm trying to make right now is that the Axis gain naval supremacy in the Northern Seaway. And also, can I just, I want to say real quick, I'm getting a lot more views than I realize when making these videos. So that's really cool. That's really exciting. But my goodness, I have an audience. And so thank you for your patience, folks, as far as war gamers specifically, for taking the time to play this game with me, or at least watch this game with me and study this game and, study wargaming in general. And you are a historian, and you are contributing to the historical process one way or another. That's kind of my main understanding. I really find that society, at least Western society, both deeply values history, and then in other ways, a lot of people don't seem to understand history or appreciate history or take the time to kind of explore it. So I do find that the war games are a really interesting medium where we can basically enjoy history and also study it at the same time. So yeah, thumbs up to you. Keep up the good work is what I'm trying to say. Having said that, the main rule that is in effect is that Axis gain temporary naval supremacy, and this is a really critical rule in the game. But basically, naval supremacy doubles the range of what you typically would get with an HQ, and we're going to see that in action very shortly. But basically, double the range for all your operations. The Allied forces gain naval supremacy around 1943 in most games, and you'll see just how powerful it is. But for this one particular turn, the Axis will have that naval supremacy. And then there's other rules as well. It says all German Northern Front infantry mounted units invade Norway as amphibious units, meaning they get reduced sea assault repulse and then long-range invasions are possible. So that's really cool. We can check out what that means to have amphibious units launching operations. And you can see that this is the assault repulse table. And basically, the amphibious units for the defensive fire, if the enemy has naval supremacy, that's what the ENS stands for. ENS stands for Enemy Naval Supremacy. And basically, um, if the Axis, or in this case, if the Norwegians roll a die roll of 1, they're going to get um, a successful repulse, but only on a die roll of 1. If it was any other unit that it wasn't considered to be an amphibious unit, which are basically the equivalent to Marines, then the die roll would be on a 1 or a 2. If you have air support involved, it's also a die roll of 1. So basically, the higher quality your units are for either amphibious or combined air amphibious operations, the uh, lower the probability that that assault gets repulsed, because it's only a 1 in 6 chance rather than a 1 in 3 chance in the case of the other units, right? 1 or 2, that's 1 or 2 out of 4, 5, 6, right? That's 1, 2 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a 6-sided die. Or in the case of a amphibious unit, it's a die roll of 1. They're the semantics. I think that's the right term, semantics on die roll. But basically, we've got all that set up now. So we're going to put a unit in Narvik. It's a strategic move, a strategic decision to hamper that sea route, that or sea route for the Axis, namely, for the Axis. And then the other units, we have to put them all in ports too. That's the other condition. So we'll put one in Trondheim. Ideally, we put a 1 strength unit in Trondheim. I was talking about the fortress ports and their advantage, but Narvik is more important. Narvik takes priority. And then I'm also going to go ahead and put a unit in Oslo, because if you lose the capital, you basically lose supplies for all your forces. And so we'll put another unit in Bergen. And then there's one extra unit. We've noticed how we put them all in black ports, or at least major ports, either major ports or black ports. Black ports are naval ports. And so whoever controls the black port will control that particular that particular sea area. And so, what am I saying here? This last unit, I mean, it can go into one of the smaller ports. I'm going to go ahead and put it in Namsos so that it's near Narvik. Okay, there we go. All right. If you made it this far, props to you. We're gonna go ahead and or I should say, like, if it's amazing to know that other people are interested in this as much as I am, right? That's my impression. That's the impression I'm getting. And so, I think we're ready to start the invasion. So yeah, thank you for your patience. If you know, I'm doing what I can to present a enjoyable experience, and I want to be consistent here. And so, yeah, let's keep playing. I probably talk too much, right? But I feel the need to emphasize that studying science is kind of a spiritual process. And so the way I see studying history, I see history and modeling military history as some kind of spiritual process. And so to me, this is a very spiritual process. And so I want to make sure that I'm delivering to the best of my ability the experience. And so yeah, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. And like I say, if anyone wants to play against me, just let me know. And you know, we can play by email, and I will make a video about it too. So yeah, let's start the invasion, right? Let's get this going. So what I'm gonna do first, we've got 3 HQs right now, right? We've got one in Hamburg, We've got one in Rostock and another in Stettin. Hamburg, Rostock, Stettin. That's where our 3 HQs are located. And we're going to activate all 3 HQs. I've been really excited to explain this. We're going to activate all 3 HQs. And then we're going to put an invasion marker on them, indicating that they are invasion HQs, meaning that they are basically sea HQs. They're used for sea operations. Sea invasions, as the name suggests, right? There's other types of HQs as well. There's Blitz HQ, which we've seen in the invasion of Poland. There's a Parajob HQ as well, and then there's also a Disrupted HQ, which is going to be weaker due to either surprise attack effects or due to bad weather. Those are the main two. So we're going to activate 3 HQs, and what we're going to do is we're going to blitz with all of them. We're going to blitz. We can both make it a sea invasion HQ, and we can make it a blitz HQ as well. And by the way, if you want to get more details on how this works, there's actually a tutorial in the game, in the file, in the rule book that actually explains the scenario quite well. It's the 1939. If you go to the 1939 Assault on Poland section and you scroll down, there's actually a setup for Operation Weser introductory scenario. And they also have the same thing for the Winter War as well, introductory scenario. So these are good scenarios to kind of get into the game. And I could make a video about them, but for now I'm gonna dedicate to an actual full gameplay scenario. But basically, it tells you, it gives you a lot of insight into how to set up your forces. It gives you insight into what else? What kind of forces do you want deployed? And there's also victory conditions that they do. But I can go ahead and read the notes. It says the Axis fear Allied control of Norway, loss of the Ore Sea Route, Atlantic barrage, and Allied naval supremacy are very damaging. Spring 1940 is their best shot, and if they don't take it, the British may. The operation is technically demanding, hence the need for a few practice runs. There are many offensive possibilities, but suffice to say that the most expensive are the surest. If the commitment is half-hearted or unlucky, a strong British response can save Norway. And there you go. So that big shout out to the developers. They're the ones who gave us a little bit of historical flavor there, and are giving us insight to how what was the historical situation right now? What was the what were the stakes basically? And there's many other sections that are read like that. It's a very high quality document made by the developers, as is the entire game. So I would really, it'd be really interesting to like have an interview with the developers and kind of gain a little bit of insight into how they built the game, because the game, I mean, building the game like this from scratch, my goodness, a lot goes into it, and it shows. So anyways, we're gonna go ahead and activate all 3 HQs. We're gonna blitz, but now, not all HQs are going to launch 2-wave assaults, right? The Blitz basically allows you to do a second phase, a second movement phase, and even a second combat phase. Some of them are going to be a long range. And so the HQ at Stettin is actually going to be a long range HQ. And so I'm going to do that first. Because it's naval supremacy that the Axis have, their range is going to be double. And because we're doing a long range invasion, it's double double. So a long range invasion typically is through 2 areas. So typically it would be from the Western Baltic to Skagerrak. But because we have naval supremacy, we can go to Western Baltic, Skagerrak, Norwegian Sea, all the way to the Norwegian leads all the way to the Norwegian Sea. So 4 sea areas of range do we have. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to move this unit across 1, 2, 3, and finally 4 bodies of water. And then we're going to land in Narvik. So we're doing a long range invasion there with this HQ. I'll go ahead and deactivate this HQ. Because it's pretty much expended everything it can. It does not have combat support, but it does have you know, it did enact a long range invasion, um, super long range invasion. The next HQ is going to be a Blitz HQ, and we're actually going to deploy 2 units. The first unit is going to be this infantry unit, and we're going to go ahead and land. Oh, actually, no, hold on. We're going to save this guy for last. The next group we're going to do is Army Group North, and we're going to do 2 range invasion, 2 site invasion. One is going to be in Trondheim, the next is going to be Bergen. And I'm going to indicate the second invasion with by moving the Blitz marker and putting it on Bergen. And so it will be a 2-phase invasion. So first we'll move this 33rd Corps. It's going to move 2 areas, and then it's going to go to Trondheim. Notice that the port Hamburg has this triple line indicating that it's actually attached to 3 bodies of 3 areas. It's attached to let's see here. It's attached to the Western Baltic, it's attached to the Skagerrak, and it's also attached to the North Sea. It's attached to 3 bodies of water. And so right now, we're moving across this strait, but the strait is not, it doesn't cut the body of water necessarily. Um, and so the invasion site that we're doing is 1, 2 areas across from Skagerrak to the Norwegian Leads. And that way we're able to reach Trondheim, basically. So that's the one invasion. And then the next one we're going to do is land in Bergen, and we'll do that on the next Blitz phase. Okay, and then the final one, the final HQ, we're going to do an invasion site in Kristiansand. And we're going to put it there, and we're going to land there. Notice that all the invasion sites that we're doing are on ports. Because we're moving from the Western Front to the Northern Front, we can only launch amphibious invasions from one port to another. We can't just pick any arbitrary site and land that way. We have to pick a particular port in order to land. So there's that. All right, so now we've done the first phase. Units that land are going to have to go through land in the northern front are going to have to go through something called I think it's called like front acclimatization or weather acclimatization. If that's the right word. I could look it up. We got time. Let's see here. Acclimatization, right? And so basically all units entering, in this case, the meta front, immediately lose 2 CV, which are not command value, but rather combat value. And the same thing applies to the northern front as well, except the acclimatization there is a penalty of, let's see here. They lose, veterans lose 1 CV rather than 2. Northern Front aliens lose 2 CV. None of the units that we're invading with are aliens because they have not like aliens, but like aliens to the Northern Front. They all have blue markers, and so these blue markers are basically whatchamacallits. One moment. One moment as I get my mind together here. All these blue markers are basically indicating that they are part of the Northern Front, or they can operate in the Northern Front. And so I'm going to drink some green tea right now. Like I say, there's a lot of rules in this game to cover, a lot of information to cover, but if you can follow with me, props to you. You've got a special mind for sure. Maybe you've got like autism. Maybe you're like a walking encyclopedia. I'm not sure, but everybody I've played with is of a particular kind of intelligence for sure. Um, and now the question is well, how do we apply that intelligence, right? What do we do to make the most use of our intelligence while taking care of ourselves and staying in good health? And so I think my main point right now is basically to emphasize that all the units that we're invading with are blue, have these blue icons. And so the acclimatization is only going to be 1 CV, right? Right. Okay, so this unit is going to be reduced to 1, reduced by 1, so that's going to go down. We're actually going to do combat first, um, and then we'll reduce. Because if they get repulsed, then there will be no acclimatization, because technically they didn't enter the front. So first we have to see if they get repulsed or not. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll start with the Battle of Narvik, and this is a normal port. There's going to be no repulse there. So basically we could do the acclimatization, successful landing. That's going to be reduced to 3. The Norwegians roll. They score 4, no hits. We roll 3. Oh, by the way, these mountain core units have double fire as well. That's another rule. It's somewhere in here. Um, but these German elite units, these mountain core units, have double fire anywhere along the northern front. And let's see if I can find that. Oh yeah, it says mountain units fire, and double defense in the northern front, regardless of terrain. Boom. So had we scored 3 5s, let's say, we would have actually scored a hit there because they have triple defense because it's unsupported combat. Now we'll do the Battle of Trondheim. No defense there. This unit's going to automatically surrender. And we'll go ahead and have this unit be reduced to acclimatization. And that's going to conclude the first wave of the Norwegian invasion. All right, now for the next phase. We're going to reduce the HQs by 1. All the HQs are going to be reduced by 1. And now we're on to the Blitz phase. And so now we're going to move this Detool HQ, and we're going to actually move it to, what's it called here? Kristiansand. We're going to move that unit to Kristiansand. And then we're also going to go ahead and move this 19th Corps from, what's the year? Hamburg to Skagerrak. And then because of the double range due to naval supremacy, we're actually going to go to Bergen. That's the move. So boom, boom. Oh, that's not right. Boom to northern Leeds, and then eventually into the port, Bergen. All right. And that's going to conclude these HQs. So this HQ is going to be reduced. This HQ is going to be reduced. And you can see that our HQs are pretty weak, right? We got level 0, level 1, and initially they were at level 3s and 2s. Now they're reduced. So we spent 2 HQ command points or command steps per HQ, and each HQ step costs 10 production points. So we just spent 60 production points on command, on simply like activating the units operationally. We haven't even sustained that many casualties, right? Just by simply moving the units, it costs us 60 production points. And keep in mind that the first, whatchamacallit, or not the first, but that in any given turn, Germany only has a production of 49 production points per turn. So we've spent more than what we can sustain for any given turn. So that's to emphasize that if you do play a game like this, the nature of strategy is such that you need to know how to build up your forces across multiple turns, not just one turn. And there's a similar theme of chess. There's a chess similarity there, but the difference between chess and a game like this is that chess has no production. In a game like chess, you don't actually have the ability to build new units. In a war game, you do. You have the ability to call in reinforcements and things like this. At least a lot of war games do. The ones that I've played, Axis and Allies, Europe and Gulf, and now Eurofront, all of them have had a production component. And so that is actually a notable difference between, say, chess and a war game, at least these war games. I think the higher level games don't actually have production. I could be wrong, but I'm presuming that what they actually have is a reinforcement system, and units arrive automatically via rail. That's my assumption there. But the point I'm trying to make now is that, if you wanted to say start this invasion all over again, you would need at least 2 turns, 2 long months of time to prepare your forces logistically in order to actually execute the invasion. Yes. Okay. So, having said that, this detail HQ is going to also go through acclimatization, and it's going to be reduced to 1 or reduced by 1. And then we'll do now the invasion of Bergen. There's going to be no combat here. This unit's going to surrender, so it's eliminated. And then it's going to be reduced. And voila, we now have an invasion of Bergen as well. And in this way, we've actually invaded a lot of areas. We've secured a lot of bodies of water. We've secured the Norwegian leads. We've secured the Norwegian Sea. But we have yet to secure the Nordkap Sea, and we need that as part of the Northern Seaway. We need to control the Northern Seaway completely if we want to basically prevent Narvik from. We want to have access to that oil sea route, basically. So yeah, that's that. What else? Copenhagen allows us to control Skagerrak right there. So there's that. Now Norway has yet to surrender because you have to take control of the capital, as well as neutralize all the units in order to successfully pull off a conquest of Norway. Right. So we're now going to switch over to the Allied side. Well, actually, we'll switch over to the Soviets. See if the Soviets do anything. I don't think the Soviets are going to do anything on this turn. No, HQs are really weak. Yeah, they're like level 1s and 0s. And our production, well, we're not even doing production right now. Our production is, I've saved it all the way until May. So we don't have to worry about the Soviets for quite some time in this game. The Soviets will eventually rise to power. All right. So, um, now, um, we'll switch over to the Allied side and see what the Allies do. And I do have a plan for the Allies. We do have our own expeditionary force, a Northern Norwegian expeditionary force. And what we're going to go ahead and do is activate this HQ. It's going to be an invasion HQ. Let me move it to the top of the stack. Invasion HQ. What happened to the markers? Oh man, they're like behind. There we go. And then we're going to go ahead and I'm also going to put blitz marker, and we're also going to do a long range invasion. So the Axis only had naval supremacy during that phase, that brief phase. So I should have like maybe put a black Allied naval or Axis naval control marker there. I'll go ahead and do that. Let's see here, Axis. Looking. Oh wait, no, it's under extras here. You can't even see all the icons. All right, let's look for it. Here it is. So Axis Naval Control was part of the Northern Seaway during their phase. It was only temporary because of the advantage of whatchamacallit, the surprise effects. I think it was rule let's see, 21.493. So we're going to go ahead and delete this. And now the Allies still have control of the Middle Seaway, which basically goes through the Atlantic Ocean. Oh, excuse me, that's the Southern Seaway. And then the Middle Seaway goes through the Mediterranean theater, basically. It's this line that goes through here. And it goes all the way from basically Eastern Mediterranean Sea in Alexandria. And then it's going to go all the way, through Tunisia, all the way through Western Mediterranean Sea, all the way to the Oberon Sea, and it keeps on going after that. And basically, it's a very long seaway. But technically, the Southern Seaway is even longer because it goes across the Atlantic Ocean and the Indian Ocean. So it's very, very long. Very, very long. Okay. So these two icons are going to stay here, and the Allies have this advantage. And so what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to now deploy this, not deploy necessarily, but mobilize through an invasion site, through an invasion operation, this small British corps. So we're going to put it in the Northern Sea, and I'm actually going to send it the long way around. Rather than sending it through Axis-controlled seas, we're actually going to send it through Allied-controlled seas. So we're going to send it to the North Atlantic. This is 2. Arctic Ocean. This is 3. And then the final sea is the Nordkap Sea, 4. And now it's going to land in Narvik like this. And it's going to suffer from acclimatization as well. It's going to be reduced by 1. But now the British have reinforced Narvik, and now they have a strong defense of Narvik. Also keep in mind that Narvik is mountainous terrain, so you have double defense, meaning that if the Axis want to secure Narvik, they're going to have to score, at the present moment, at least 6 hits in order to neutralize the defense of Narvik. And right now, scoring 6 hits with double fire, that's a 1 in 3 chance of success. So you need to roll, what is that? Oh my goodness, probability. You need to roll, I think it's 18 dice to score 6 hits. If you have a 1 in 3 chance of scoring a hit, you have to roll, basically you have to roll 3 dice to score 1 hit. And then if you want to score 6 hits, you're going to have to roll 18 dice, right? We can do that. I think it's like probability of scoring a hit equals like 1 in 3 times 3. That's the probability of scoring 1 hit, right? And then the probability of scoring 18 hits, or excuse me, 6 hits, is going to equal the probability of scoring 1 hit times 6, which equals to 1 in 3 times 3 times 6. And basically, which implies that number of dice equals 18, right? Number of dice equals 3 times 6, which equals 18. Hopefully that makes some logical mathematical sense. I think it does. There's probably you can do a few modifications here, but I believe that's like basic 101, level 100 probability, and that what I'm getting at is that you'd have to roll 18 hits to neutralize this defense of Narvik, and right now the mountain core, there's only 3 dice. There's only 3 units there. So we would have to have like 6 rounds of battle to like successfully neutralize this defense. The point I'm trying to make is that it's not easy. That's the main takeaway. Is that neutralizing this defense of Narvik is going to take multiple rounds of combat. Right now, with only 3 dice there, it's going to take six rounds of combat to neutralize the defense. What the heck? And so we have quite a while to go, 6 months presumably, or 6 fortnights presumably, to neutralize this defense over here in the north. And so something like this, so anyways, good move by the Allies is the point I'm trying to make. We could have invaded the capital. We could have invaded Oslo, but this time we're helping the Norwegians rather than invading them. And because it's a blitz marker, we're going to reduce it by 2. And the point I'm trying to make is that I'm making many points, but the next point I want to make is that we're playing the game strategically as the allies, and we're trying to maximize the damage against the Axis because again, the objective right now is to deny the Axis that sea or route that's going from Gallivare through the Norwegian Sea, Norwegian Leeds, Skagerrak, all the way down into northern Germany. And right now, it's being interrupted by this contested area at Narvik, right? Or no, excuse me, it's not even contested. Well, it is contested, but more importantly, it is Allied controlled. It's an Allied controlled area. Okay, so there's that. All right, moving forward. I should probably get a timer to see how long this video is, so I can track the time a little bit more effectively. But no, well, actually, we're gonna go ahead, move on to the next fortnight. I think what I might do is I think I'm going to continue this log file a little bit longer, but I think I'm going to go ahead and set up the Battle of France, and we're going to save that for the next video. We're going to go ahead and do that. So let's continue. It's April 1940, and we'll do Allied production. Allied production is at 29. I'll go ahead and delete this. We don't need this anymore. And we'll go ahead and do Allied production. And so let's see here. Let's see how this looks like. Allied production is at 26 or 29 rather. And so with the remaining 3 that we have, I'm thinking we'll build up this French militia, this French unit. Oh, this actually costs 4 production points because it's in the Mediterranean front. So no, we won't build that up. I think what I'm going to do is basically round it down to 28 and go ahead and spend 28 production. So I'm going to spend 20 on HQs on the British. I want those HQs to be built up. And now we have 8 production points left. Now we're in the turn of April. We only have this month and then the next month until May 1940. And May 1940 is when the Battle of France takes place. And so I want to make sure that the French have their HQs built up as much as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and build up this French HQ here. Oops. I hit it. I want to build that up. And I think next turn, I want this French armor to be built up, but unfortunately, because we made that attack on Saarbrücken on the Rhineland, or excuse me, the Ruhr, Rhineland. I think the Ruhr is part of the Rhineland, right? Someone can correct me on that. But basically, because we made that attack, we spent 2 HQs doing that, and so now we're a little bit behind as far as building up our ground forces. All our infantry are built up, which is really good, but our armor is kind of under strength at the present moment. But that comes at the cost of building up our HQs again. So we're going to build up 1 HQ, and I think next turn we'll build up an armored unit. But actually we only have 28 production points. So we spent 20 for the British, and we're going to spend the remaining 8 on the French armor, like so. Yeah. All right, so that's going to sum up Allied production. And now we're going to switch over to the Germans. The Soviets, we don't have to worry about the Soviets. We're going to skip their production and save it till May. So we still have another turn to do that. But I do believe the Soviets do get a reinforcement. Let's see. I think they get a reinforcement in April. They do. So what I'll go ahead and do is actually switch the Soviets briefly and deploy this Soviet armored unit, or mech unit rather. And I'm going to go ahead and put it in here in the south, in Lvov. Yeah, Lvov. South East Poland. Okay, bordering Ukraine. Okay, now switching to the Germans. We're going to go ahead and do the German production. our production right now is actually going to be reduced because the ore sea route is being blocked. So let's see here. We can find there's a marker for that. Let's see. Oh yeah, axis or sea route interrupted. So I'm going to go ahead and use this marker. I'll put it on the German marker over here. And then I would reduce it by 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So German production is at 44. So with 44 production, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to prioritize spending production on HQs. That's going to be priority number 1, is building up HQs because we need them for the Battle of France. So I'm going to build up the 3 HQs again. That's 30 production points, and then build up OKH. That's going to be 40. We only have 4 left, and I think that those remaining 4, I'll go ahead and build up this infantry unit right there in the Ruhr. Let's check German reinforcements. See how that looks. In April, yep, we get more reinforcements. So we'll put this paratrooper unit in Hanover. And then there's these 3 remaining HQs. Or these 3 remaining infantry units. We'll go ahead and put them in Poland. Poland is annexed, so it is part of the Third Reich now. And yeah. And then we're gonna go ahead and put the infantry in Poznan, another in Katowice, another in Krakow, and these units are going to deploy from east, or I guess western Poland, into other parts of western Poland, basically. And the idea is that we are going to fill up the forces in along the border against the Soviets. That's the idea. Just start filling up the border, basically. That's the idea. That's the game plan. And yeah, there's that. So that's going to be it for the German production. And now we can start the turn. So what we'll go ahead and do is activate the Dietel HQ. And then we're going to move this unit from Kristiansand, and we're going to move it into Oslo. So we have double fire, and we also have double combat air support. So we have 5 double fire dice, and we need to score 2 hits to take Oslo. So we have pretty good odds. If we had 6 dice, the probability is a guaranteed that we would score 2 hits, right? So there's that. No other combat turn we're going to do in the north. I'm also going to go ahead and activate OKW, and we're going to go ahead and move yeah, we'll activate OKW again, and we're going to move these HQs, 3 HQs, to the western front. So I'll move Army Group North to the Ruhr. I'll move Army Group South. I should probably move it directly. Let's see here. Strategic movement spent. Move it from Hamburg over here to Munster. Then eventually to the Ruhr, like so. Then we're going to move Stettin. Another strategic movement spent. And we're going to move it via rail. Boom, boom, doom, boom. To the Ruhr as well. And then the last one, Army Group Center. Yeah, we'll also move it via rail. And we're going to put it in Hanover. And then finally, I'm going to go ahead and move. So those are 3 strategic moves spent. Then we're going to move 3 additional German strategic rail moves. And these units are going to be moving on the eastern front. So we're going to go ahead and move this unit, going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's one. Here's another one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's two. And then we're going to move one more. 1, 2, 3, 4. So three strategic, additional strategic rail moves that are being spent, moving around these German units. And then we're going to deactivate OKW, and then we're going to go ahead and move it by rail, and we're going to move it all the way to Hanover. And in this way, we now have pretty much our forces on the Western Front set up for the invasion of France, basically. All right, so let's do the combat. We'll do an airstrike here, attacking Oslo. Let's see how it goes. We'll do the airstrike first. We score one hit, very nice. Defenders miss, they rolled a 2, and we scored one hit, fantastic. So, because they had double fire, because Oslo is a city, is a major city, and so it has double defense, so we needed to score 2 hits to score one hit. And now we scored that hit successfully with the 5 and 6 die rolls. And now this unit is going to surrender because it's a level 0. And just like that, we now secured Oslo. So our production is going to go from 44 to 45. And now we can deactivate Detail HQ. Oh, by the way, the Detail HQ has command support. So it had command support on Oslo. And then, let's see here. Now we're going to do the supplies. We're going to check the supplies of, whatchamacallit, of the Dutch units. The Dutch units are out of supplies right now because their capital is gone, and they have they lack what is called national supplies, because the capital has been taken. So all units are going to be reduced by one. So this unit's going to be eliminated because it was at level 0, and this unit will be reduced to 0. So we're increasing the probability of success of taking Narvik in the future. And also all the remaining areas that are part of Norway are now going to be Axis controlled. So all of Norway except for Narvik is now Axis controlled. So we have achieved a successful invasion of Norway. All that's left is securing Narvik, which, as you'll see, it will take a little bit more time than the actual invasion of Norway. So I'm just cleaning up the strategic moves. And now we'll switch to the Allies' turn. Do the Allies want to do anything? They do not. We're not going to do anything for the Allies. We don't really have the HQs to do anything anyways. So we'll pass this turn. The Soviets are going to pass as well. We'll move on to the next fortnight. And now we'll switch over to the Germans again. And now I'm thinking, what more do I want to do? I think we're going to activate OKW. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm actually going to start transferring units um, into Norway. Yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. So what I'll go ahead and do is you can move units in the northern front, but they cost 2 supreme moves because they're in another front. And so we'll move this unit from Oslo. We'll go 1, 2, because this hex distance is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'll go ahead and move this unit as well, the Detail HQ. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then one more move. We'll move, so we've done 4 supreme moves so far. We'll move this 33rd Corps from Stettin, and we're going to move it to Oslo. This time we don't have naval supremacy anymore. We'll move to Skagerrak. But we do actually control the Northern Sea route. We actually do control the Northern Sea route. The developers actually changed the rules a bit. So we do actually control the Northern Sea route. So I'll go ahead and put this icon here, like so. I mean, we can. I mean, we can. I don't think it makes much of a difference. We'll leave it. We'll leave it removed. Technically, I should have double stacked earlier when I was suggesting naval supremacy. So when I suggested naval supremacy for the Axis, I should have double stacked like so, but I didn't. But technically, they control the Axis sea route. They control the northern sea route at the moment. Um, I also haven't been rolling for weather on the Eastern Front, but right now, it's mud basically. And you can tell by production. If we look at the Eastern Front, April is mud, complete mud. All right. So yeah. So basically, just reinforcing Norway, shifting units around. We're now in range to invade Narvik and reinforce Narvik with the detail HQ and this new core. So we're in a much better position to take it. Basically, take Norway. Specifically, take Narvik, and then we're gonna deploy this OKW, and I'll go ahead and put it in also in Hanover. And yep, all you 4 units are stacked there. Looking good, looking good. All right. So we're pretty much ready to invade France. We got a lot of units stacked up on the Western Front, a lot of units as you can tell. So we're pretty ready. And then the only thing we need to change, the only thing I need to do is get this unit to move from Königsberg to there, but it's not a big deal. But ideally, we have that unit there as well. But I don't think I'm going to be able to do that for some time. All right. So we'll now switch over to the Allied side and see what the Allies do on this fortnight. And I think we are. I think there's nothing that we're going to do with the Allies. We're going to skip their production. Or skip, not, excuse me, not skip their production, but skip their operational turns. Movement turns, command phase, and so on. We're not going to activate any HQs. So we'll do that. We'll simply pass their main phases. We're now going to move on to the month of May. I'll go ahead and roll the weather on the Eastern Front. It's a die roll of 5, so that's an odd roll. So it's still going to be mud. But now we'll do Allied production. Allied production is at 29. And so with 29, we're actually going to spend 8 to build up this Narvik British unit. It's a contested hex, so you have double the production cost for contested. It's not a hex, technically it's a contested area. You're allowed to build up units on areas because basically a area like a district, which is what these circles are called, are about the equivalent size to 3 hexes. So they're just much bigger areas, so you have a lot more space for logistics. So you can think of, let me see here, I'll show you. Basically, if we grab this marker for Östersund, right, it is of the same size as these 3 other areas, including Orebro, Vasteras, and one more over here. It's kind of hard to see, Borlange. So this area here, this uh, this district is of the equivalent size to these 3 hexes. So they're quite large, basically. And the bigger squares, which are called regions, are even bigger. Um, they're even bigger. Let me see here. We can look it up. We'll do that. Let's see. Area command, area movement. Let's see. Regions. Oh yeah, here we go. So Smyers are about 2 hexes in diameter. or regions are about 4 to 6 hexes in diameter. So they're actually quite large. So we can now do another example. Galivare, 6 hexes, 4 to 6. We'll take an average of 5. In diameter, so it's a circle. Man, it's so big that it may not even fit on this part of the map. Yeah. All right. So, I mean, this is an estimation. I'm trying to create a circle that is 5 hexes in diameter, and you can tell this is not even 5 hexes in diameter. This is more like it's almost. Let's add one more row. Basically, one area is as big as all of these. What gives? That's huge. That's really big. 4 to 6. Yeah. So I don't know if the map isn't just drawn to scale, but that doesn't seem right to me. Um, but that's what they say, 4 to 6 hexes in diameter. Um, and right now, this is about 4 to 6 hexes. This is about 5 hexes in diameter. Kind of drawn a square almost, and it is really large. So it actually kind of makes sense. I mean, one giant area, one giant region makes up the remainder of Sweden. And then you've got a whole nother area up here, part of Norway. I don't believe that. I don't believe that Tromsø. Kind of want to look at a map now. I'm sure it's a beautiful place. Really cold. But like, let's look at a map. Let's see here. My Wi-Fi is okay. Should be pretty good, but we gotta wait for it to load. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I'm just thinking like, Norway is incredibly narrow. It's a very narrow country. So, I mean, if it is 4 to 6 hexes in diameter, I don't think it's going to be a square shape. I think it's actually going to be like a rectangle shape. But presumably, it's like the remaining part of Norway north of Narvik. Where is Narvik? Yeah, Narvik is here. So, presumably, all this other area that's east of Narvik is part of Tromsø, according to our game here. And then, same kind of applies to Finland, right? Actually, I mean, according to the map, it actually makes a lot of sense. Finland has 3 such areas of 4 to 6 hexes in diameter. Oulu, which is here, right here. Petsamo, which is in the north. I know that, somewhere up here north. I think where Kirkenes is today is what used to be Petsamo. We can verify that. I could be wrong. Probably should. Petsamo, part of the Murmansk Oblast, so it's actually part of Russia. Okay, I was close. I was close. So the Russians did end up taking Petsamo in the long term. And then finally we have Joensuu, which is not here on the map. I don't think it's an actual city. I think it's a region, but we can look up that as well. Joensuu. Oh, there it is a city. Okay, there it is. All right, so it makes sense. It makes sense. But as you can tell, the main point I'm making now is that these regions are quite large. So this region would have a frick ton of X's of equivalent size, right? It would have like 25, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, about 21. And here I count 4, 8, 12, 15, oh, even more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So something like that. So anyways, you get a sense for the size difference between the regions, um, districts, and hexes. So we'll go ahead and delete all this. All right, so we're doing allied production, and basically, we're gonna spend 8 on Narvik because it is contested. So it's gonna cost double the production points. Actually, I don't even think we can. I thought it would cost 8. I think it actually costs 12 because if you look at the costs, we're gonna follow extreme costs because those are for the northern and Mediterranean front costs. Infantry costs 6 production points, meaning double that. It's gonna cost 12. So if we do decide to spend this unit, I think I'll save it for last. It's going to cost us from the 29. It's going to reduce us down to 17 production points. And first and foremost, I want to focus on building up our HQs. So we have 29 production points. We're going to go ahead and build up the French HQ. So now we're down to 19 production points. That's it. That's all we can afford for the French. Then I'm going to go ahead and spend the remaining 19, I think. Um, hmm. Yeah, no, I think we can. I think we can build this unit up. That's going to cost 12, and now we're down to 7 production points left, and we'll go ahead and build up a mech unit like so. All right. So that's gonna sum up the Allied production for May 1940. Let's look at Allied reinforcements. Nothing. Now we'll switch over to Soviet production. And you can the order of production is somewhat interchangeable depending on who has the initiative for weather. And so the Soviets are kind of taking a back seat right now because it's not winter. Um, well, let's see what the Soviets get. Do the Soviets get any reinforcements in May? They do not, but we do have 90 production points for May. So we're going to go ahead and start building up our HQs. Each HQ costs 20 production points. So that's going to cost us 80 just to build up these 4 HQs. That's quite a bit. And then the remaining 10 production points that we have left, we're going to focus on building up our infantry and mech. So the infantry costs 4, the mech is going to cost 6, and that's going to add up to 10. Actually, I'm going to cancel that and just go ahead and build up. No, that's good. And then I'll go ahead and build up this infantry unit by 1. Yeah. All right. So that's that. This infantry costs 6 production points because it's part of the Northern Front. And now we'll finally switch over to the German production. And let's see here. We're gonna go ahead. No production for the Germans. Not until June. No reinforcements, that is. I keep saying no production. I mean to say no reinforcements. German production is at 45. So we're gonna go ahead and build up this detail HQ, which is gonna cost 5 production points. It's a what is it called? It's not a Supreme HQ, um, and it's not a regular HQ. It's another type of HQ, um, but basically it's a mini Supreme HQ, essentially. Um, yeah, the name is slipping my mind. I could look it up in the rule book. We could do that. If you notice, I use the rule book a lot. We can take a look. Theater HQ, that's what it's called. Okay. We have 40 production points left, and I'm going to go ahead and spend them all on HQs pretty much. Build up this HQ, that HQ, this HQ, and one of the Supreme HQs. Go ahead and build up OKW. Boom. All right, and so now we've got the historical setup pretty much. Let's see how much infantry we have set up. Let's see, 11 right there. Um, plus another 7. That puts us at 18. And then we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 times 4 is 48. So 48 plus 18, what is that? I think it's 64 or 66. 48 plus 18. Did I do that right? It's 50 plus 16. Yeah, that's 66. Plus another 6. It's going to put us at 72. So we have 72 infantry, 72 combat value for the Western Front, and the historical setup is at 76. And so that's pretty good. And as far as armor, I think the armor is the same. We've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3. We've got 6 there, plus another, what is this? 9 plus 4 is 13. So we have 19. So we actually have one extra mech, one additional armored unit for the Battle of France, one additional armored division, Panzer division, basically for the Battle of France. So 4 less infantry divisions, but we have one additional Panzer division compared to the historical setup. Not bad. Not bad at all. And like that, we are done with the German production. And we're going to stop here. And then I think we'll stop here. I'll go ahead and declare war on Holland and Belgium right now, and we'll go ahead and set up the Belgian and Dutch forces. We'll go ahead and do that. So I'm kind of going into the fortnight a little bit, but we'll go ahead and set up. The way you do production is you follow peacetime production. But peacetime production is only at 25% what it normally would be. So this is the production since 1930, September 1939. And so, for example, the Dutch would be gaining 4 production points from September 1939. So you do you do October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. So 8 months have gone by since 1939. So you do 8 times 4. 32 production points, but then it's only at 25% of that. So you would actually have 8 production points for the turn. So we can build up this Dutch unit by 1. And then for the Belgians, it's the same thing, 8 months of production. 8 times 2 is 16, but only 1/4 of that. So it's only going to be 4 production points for the Belgians. And all we can really build up is this militia unit. So we'll go ahead and build that up. Go put this militia unit in the Ardennes forest. This Belgian corps will be protecting Brussels, which is the capital, very important. And then we've got this fortress unit, and we'll go ahead and put it in East Belgium, right there, dead center of the Polish, excuse me, not the Polish, of the Belgian defense. And that's going to be the setup for the defense of northwestern Europe. And we can do a little bit of research. Maybe I can save that for the next video. But if we look at case yellow, and you kind of look at how the Germans invaded, it's a very fascinating operation. Probably the most fascinating operation in World War II for ground operations. Probably the most famous, I would say, at least for Europe. It's the most famous operation in Europe, probably second to only Operation Overlord, perhaps. But it's up there. It's definitely in the top 5, top 3 even. I would say it's either ranked first or second, because it was the operation that changed the course of the war for the European theater, because it only lasted 6 weeks historically. But you can see, for example, this document here, it shows you all the different scenarios that the German army planned for, right? The evolution of case yellow, and you can the most notable feature are the divisions, right, of the armored divisions and where they're located. And so, based off of this, I think the historical Battle of France, the one that we actually see end up taking place, the closest one, the most similar one to the historical one, is this one here, because you kind of have the sweeping maneuver that's taking place from the Ardennes Forest, from Luxembourg, and sweeping through and trying to reach the coastline and flanking the main defense to the north. And then this one, no, this one's a little bit more standardized. And then we can maybe look at um, the actual operation. Maybe we can find a map that shows the actual operation. Let's see if I can find anything. I think I saw another picture in Google. But we can save a lot of this for the next video. But I figure it's kind of a good note to introduce right now, because as much as I want to do the Battle France for this video, for the sake of time, because of time, I'm going to keep this video a little shorter. I think it's going to be easier to digest. It's easier for me to focus and like concentrate all the energy one operation at a time. And so we'll save this for the next video, but I'll go ahead and show you another map. I think this map is showing you the progress that the Germans were making, and we'll see what's the date of this is 10th of May that they were located here. And I think when did the Battle of France actually begin? That's a good question. Let's see here. It started the 10th of May. So you're telling me that they made it this far in the 10th of May? My goodness. I'm presuming the French didn't have any unit in Philippeville. I think that's what I'm assuming here. They didn't have any unit in Philippeville. Maybe they did. It's a very complex operation. You would think it's an easy operation to understand, but it's not. It is a very complicated operation. A lot of moving parts were taking place. But the main takeaway is that once things were set in motion, it was very hard to stop your plan. Like they both sides had a plan of action already set up, and like once the orders were sent, it was very hard to change the orders. And keep in mind that both sides were planning for this operation, planning for this war, this Franco-German war, for since World War One. So well over a decade has passed since there was fighting on the Western Front. It's been all quiet on the Western Front, and basically, um, the plans that they had, especially the French, but also the Germans, and also the British, also the Belgians, and even the Dutch, everybody had a 10-year long plan. So everything was like, stick to the plan, stick to the plan. So when the plan took place, the trap was already set before the critical moment even occurred, because the momentum was already kind of shifting in a certain direction. Namely, the momentum was shifting along that Ardennes. The Ardennes Forest was the starting point of that momentum for the German breakthrough. But the French also contributed to this momentum by shifting all their forces to the north. They shifted all their momentum to the north, and they did not protect that southern flank as well as they could have. Now, the deep south was very well protected. They had a strong defense along the Maginot Line, but I'm talking about this really critical position. I'll find a cool icon. I think it's over here. There we go. This really critical moment right here, basically, is where the fate of the entire operation took place, because it basically split the Allied forces in half. It isolated the Maginot Line from all the other mobile Allied units that were located, whose plan of action was to reinforce the Belgians before they collapsed. And the Belgians, their plan was to hold out as long as possible. And so it's a very interesting operation. But I think we'll pretty much wrap it up here. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed. And then we'll go ahead and continue on with more videos. Continue on with the Let's Play. And any comments or questions, feel free to let me know. Um, and I definitely appreciate hearing the insights from you guys. And then what else can I say? Till next time, and have a nice day. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.